Hey, everybody. It's Dawn Parks with Shimula, and I'm so glad to be here for yet another great resignation conversation. Liz Kitchell, who is the president of Shimula, and myself, I'm the CEO of Shimula. We started these a couple of weeks ago as an opportunity to show people, give people ideas about what to think about if you're considering joining the Great Resignation. So just as a reminder for those of you who might be watching us for the first time or looking at one of our replays for the first time, the Great Resignation is a name that describes a movement or a trend where people are just leaving their jobs. They are leaving the employment that they may have had for a long period of time. Could be they were hourly workers, could be they're mid-level managers or C-suite executives. And over the past 18 months with COVID, people can see that maybe the life that they are interested in isn't being fulfilled in the way that they have been working. So they're choosing to leave. Some are leaving to start their own companies. Some are leaving to find work that satisfies some needs that their current employment can't do, and others are retiring. And so what we are looking at is some tips, tricks, tools to consider. Liz and I left the workforce several years ago to start Shimula. And so we have a good idea of what it takes to start a company on your own. Either you have a partner or by yourself, there are a lot of things to consider. And so we've kind of been in the trenches and understand what you might be dealing with. And so we've been bringing different kinds of speakers and experts on board to support you in whatever it is you might be thinking about. And if you really want to make a change, whether it's a change within the company that you're working and you just want to figure out how to do it, or you're ready to make that big jump, then yay you. Liz and I provide coaching, we provide classes to help you get clear on what is your purpose, right? What is that one thing? What is the thing that's going to be most important to you? Have you start to align your money and your time to actually make it happen, and then get you on your own yellow brick road, much like Dorothy had, right? You know, you've got to find your way to the wizard, and you've got to be able to deal with your own version of flying monkeys and poppies that put you to sleep and the lion and the scarecrow and the tin man, right? So today, I'm going to be talking about how you build something, right? There's this notion of, okay, I'm going to jump. Now, what do I do after I jump, right? What has to be done when I jump? So I'm going to create an analogy that's much like a house, because that's an easy way to think about it. So if you're thinking about making, let's say you want to move, and you're like, oh, I hate this place where I live. It's not working for me anymore. And there's a lot of reasons why it might not work. Could be it's too big, could be it's too small. You don't have enough green space. You have too much green space and too much yard. You're not close, you can't walk anywhere that's like the neighborhood. Or maybe you're in an apartment and the dog next door is too loud, or there's too much smoke from someone who smokes cigarettes or something, but you're ready to make this move. You don't just go out and buy something, right? You put some thought into it. You want, at least I hope you do, right? I do know that some people with real estate market prices the way they are, they're buying stuff sight unseen. But in most cases, let's say you want to build a new place that excites you, a new place that makes you feel at home, right? There's a difference between a house and a home. And your business, you want any new business venture or any new company that you decide to work for, you want that to be more like a home, not just a house for most of us, right? We want to feel fulfilled in our work. So getting back to the home distinction, if you are going to go build a place, there's a lot of things that you think about before you actually build, correct? You want to think about, how is that place going to make me feel? I like bright sunlight. I want a lot of room between me and my neighbors. I want a big grassy yard, or I want no yard. I'd rather be in a condo. when I come home, I want to feel relaxed. I want to be able to kick off my shoes and feel comfortable. I want the space to be inviting. I want to be able to have my office in a spot where I can close the door if I'm working from home. So you start to think about how it makes you feel. What is your experience of your future? So when people create a lot of the goals and create their visions, they often forget to create the experience. They just jump right in to the how instead of not the how, the what, like the structure, instead of thinking about what is the experience. So before you ever put pen to paper for the plan of a house, you want to find the right property, the right neighborhood, while you're also thinking about what the dwelling looks like. So if you want to be near a forest, you're not going to look in the middle of downtown New York City, right? You're going to go start to look at land that is going to be consistent with what you want. So you want to be thinking and starting to explore the experience, right? So the experience is really important. A lot of people say, I don't want that job. I want that job instead. Well, you want to start to imagine what it's like being in that job, right? What is it like to have your own company when you're the one that has to get yourself up in the morning and you are the boss and you're the employee, you're the chief cook and bottle washer all the time. So going back to the house analogy, you find some land and you have found an architect who can help you build it. So now I'm going to show you a little 3D example of how this process kind of works. And I'm going to talk you through it and I want you to be thinking about this from the point of view of, as I start a company, or I start my retirement, or I start a new job, I want you to realize that none of it is linear. There are linear things, step 1, step 2, step 3, that happen at certain points. But the whole process is not linear. You have to kind of put your quantum leap kind of thinking in. You have to be flexible and recognize that things are not always going to go exactly as you planned. So here I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And that is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, see if I can make it work here. It's not going to let me do it here. So hang on for just a second while I pull that up. Okay, there we go. Now I'm ready to share. See, every day you think it's going to work a certain way, and then it does, or it doesn't. So now I'm going to share my screen here. So this is a video. Now I got to go back again. See, once again, I'm going to share my screen. And I've got to optimize it for the video clip and the sound. See, you guys, you can learn from me all the time. I'm going to take this back to the beginning. So this is like how one architect describes it. So they've laid out the plan here, right? You can see they laid out the plan. You can see all the parts of the house. You start by setting the foundation. The foundation has to work for your dream. Then they set in different parts of the house, right? They set in the walls, they set in the windows, they set in the next level, they add the roof, they add the furniture, right? You can see how they add all of these different pieces and parts, and then they add the final roof to the top, right? So you can see how it starts with the plan, right? And then the foundation. So the foundation is critical, right? The foundation is critical. So I'm gonna go back here to the beginning a little bit. So what I want you to realize is that they've got the plan, right? It's still nothing. This is your dream. This is your dream on paper. There's no action really taken except for the fact that you talked to an architect, right? But your dream still is up here in many ways. Sometimes it's here and sometimes it's on paper, but mostly it's living on paper. And then, so that as they set in the foundation, right? You get to really start to see, this is what I'm working on. This is my dream. This is what I'm working on. This is the foundation. The foundation is so important. If you want a mansion, you can't start with a foundation that's built for a tiny house. It's really hard to add. So you want to create your foundation as strongly as possible with all the right materials, your skills, your talent, the money, the time, all of the things that you want. But you've got to have a strong foundation. So that's one of the things that Liz and I work with you on, is having you understand what are the foundational pieces that you need for your next life. If you're going to retire, what are you going to be doing in your next life? Making sure you have the stuff ready so you don't like fall over some cliff because you weren't prepared. If you jump into a new business, let's think about what are the things that what is the product that you're going to sell? What is the service that you're going to sell? Who is your customer? What do you want that customer value? What do they get from working with you? How much are they going to charge? How many customers do you need in order to be successful? What skills do you have with regard to marketing? And that's what Liz and I work with you on, either in our coaching programs or in our Money Master Plan Mastermind program or our 7-figure club. What we really work hard to get those skills established, get the foundation built. Because if you don't have a strong foundation, then when you put the walls up, right? When you start to put the walls up, the walls can't hold your dream. So a lot of people don't spend enough time working on the foundation. So that's what we do, is we work with you on the foundation, and then we start to build the walls. Now notice here that the walls are all on the outer edges. Yeah, there's this little wall here that is separating the garage from the rest of the house. But these are the primary walls. It's the primary pillars by which you are going to run the next part of your life, the way you're going to run your business. It's going to include your commitment to your family. It's going to include the things that you hated in your old job that you want to make sure don't happen in your new company or in your new job. So we want to firm up. So you've got a foundation. We're going to start to build the firmness of the next part of your life, right? But remember, there's this plan. You've got a little bit of a plan. But if you've ever built a house, sometimes the plans change. You might see it like this and you go, I think that wall needs to move a little bit, right? I thought this was going to be my customer. Now I think my customer is really over here. So you have to kind of redesign, but you have to work within the foundation that you've been building, correct? So then here we've put in the walls. So now you're putting in the walls, and the next piece is going to be like in the bathrooms. You're going to get your sinks, you're going to get your countertops, you're going to get the toilets. In the kitchen, you've got you got to put in the plumbing, you've got to put in all of the pieces. But have you ever been building a house or building an idea and it's like 2 of the sinks come in, but only 1 of the toilets? So you can only get so far, right? You can only get so far because you're waiting on someone else. Well, when you're starting a new company, you're always going to be waiting on someone else, it seems like. You're waiting to get stuff back from your marketing person or your logo person or your website person. You're waiting for information from the bank. You're waiting for a customer to call you back. You're always waiting. So you don't sit in the bathroom and twiddle your thumbs, right? You get to work on the next piece. Maybe I can paint the living room. Maybe I can paint the bedrooms. Maybe I can order the bedroom furniture. So you want to know and be clear on what you're going to be working on while you're waiting, just like you would with a house. So while you're waiting for your logo to get finished or your marketing to be finished, who can you be calling? Who is your next customer? Where else can you be networking? How can you be writing the PowerPoint presentations or tweaking something? So you want to make sure you're going to have all these different rooms in your business. So a room is marketing, a room is sales, a room is finance, right? A room is family. All of these things are built on the foundation inside of the walls. And then sometimes the walls might have to move a bit, right? But you want to make sure you're not sitting in one of the rooms and twiddling your thumbs waiting. You want to know what needs to be happening in the other rooms so that you always have something that you can do next. So then we start to build more and more of the pieces until such time as the whole thing is built. But here's the thing, as we all know, that once the house is built, there's still a lot more work to be done. It's kind of like we're never finished with this entire process, right? Once the house gets built, then you've got to deal with the yard, right? And then you have to buy the outdoor furniture, and then you're going to have to do repairs. You're always shoring things up. You don't just build your website and it's done. You're constantly making adjustments to your website. You're constantly making adjustments to the product that you're selling. You're constantly making adjustments to manage the different things with regard to your customers. So I wanted you to start to think about, what do you know with regard to, whoops, sorry, hang on. This is crazy. Here we go. What do you know with regard to this idea of creating your foundation, doing an inventory of your skills, making sure that you've got enough of a plan in place that when you're working on one piece, if you have to wait for someone else, then you have something else that you can do, and that it's all within the priorities, right? Some things are going to be more important. Some things are going to be urgent. Some things are going to be an emergency. You may have to drop everything one day because you have a leak. The leak could be water. The leak could be a client. The leak could be a legal issue that showed up that you weren't prepared for. So you want to be thinking about, what is the foundation that I have, and what are the walls that I need to build? And then how do I manage all the rooms? And do I have all the rooms that I need, right? Have I created all the rooms, or do I need a shed out back for the extra stuff? Or do I need stuff in this room now, but later on I won't need it and I'll store it because I'm going to need a new room for a new program or a new client or a new business opportunity that I hadn't considered. And that's really where Liz and I can go to work with you. We want you to be successful. Now, as you could probably hear from some of this is linear thinking, right? There's lists and there's priorities and there's things that need to be done. But there's also the nonlinear parts where you have to be able to see over the top of the house at all times and be able to work with whatever is happening in the moment, be able to look into each room and make some decisions. And that is not a linear process. That is being able to be the CEO of your company and being the CEO of you. Truth be told, most of us are terrible CEOs of ourselves. It's a mindset thing. So that's the other thing that Liz and I work on. If you're used to, if you like order and now all of a sudden you've decided you need some freedom, but that's not the way that you normally operate, then we got to do some work on mindset. How do we have both? How do you have it all? How do you have your left brain? I don't know if it's showing up on your side as left brain, but left brain and right brain. How do you have the left brain and the right brain working together to have your business? And that's all mindset, right? How do you keep moving when you've been waiting 6 weeks for a toilet? You know, you're waiting 6 weeks for your logo. You're waiting 6 weeks for your website. You wanted it yesterday. You wanted to be finished with this yesterday. You're getting frustrated. You feel like you can't move forward, but really you can. But it takes a nonlinear thinking. It takes a mindset that allows you to move yourself forward in the face of no agreement. When the walls literally are walls and you cannot figure out a way through, you need some mindset work. If you've been in corporate America all your life, you can dream about entrepreneurship. You can think, oh, I can't wait to have my own company. But if you've never done it, it's a whole new way of thinking. Because now you have to think about how to do it. You have to figure out the sales, all the money, create the foundation, build this whole thing out, all while you are selling, pipelining, designing, and delivering whatever it is, whatever your widget is, your product, your service. And it's all doable. It is all doable. So I'm not trying to scare anybody away from doing it. In fact, we need way more entrepreneurs in the world. We need a lot more people who are self-starters and they're out to fix a problem that other people haven't been able to solve. But you also want to be prepared, right? Maybe you want a coach to support you. Maybe you want a community. You know, Liz and I do some things where we do one-on-one coaching, but we also have these great communities of people where you come together with 10 or 15 other people and you're all working on your business. But then it's a really safe mastermind environment where people can provide you peer-to-peer. This works, that word makes me a little bit wonky. Oh, have you thought about doing this? We don't tell you what to do, but we can provide insight on how things appear when you share what you're working on. And that gives you a new space to keep growing your business. So if you go back to the house environment, right? If people walk into the house and you're hoping that it's going to give people this light, bright, airy experience, and they come in and they say, well, it seems a little dark in here. They didn't tell you why it seems dark, but you could ask more questions and you could say, oh, it's the brown walls. That might make it feel a little dark. Maybe you could open the shades. Maybe the artwork, it's missing some artwork. Maybe, you could add some things that are reflective like mirrors. And so the community provides some really great suggestions that you could think about incorporating into your business, so that people are so your customers are getting the experience that you want them to get. Far too often, I'm not going to say far too often. What I want to say is that sometimes we have a problem. An individual, I might have a problem, and I figure out a way to fix it. And then I want to share that with everyone, and I want to make that a business. And so it's important to find more people that have the same problem. Now, not all my friends have that problem, right? So I'm not going to be able to sell my product to my friends. But there are other people in the world. There are 6 billion people on the planet. There's got to be a few of them that have the same problem that I have. And so the community gives you the guidance and the support to go find the people so that you don't have to, nothing against multi-level marketing. I love multi-level marketing. I think people who are expert at that, God love them. They're great. I'm not very good at multi-level marketing, but you want to make sure that you don't have to always sell to your friends and your family. You want to be able to sell to the people who really have your problem. And our community provides you the space to explore different ways to say it. When Liz and I first started Shimula, we because of our personal backgrounds, she really wanted to support women who kept leaving the table when it was time to work on investing, because they either didn't understand it or they were the people who were trying to sell them investment tools didn't really understand what moms especially were going through, right? And I, on the other hand, didn't have any money. I mean, I made a lot of money, but I had to file bankruptcy unexpectedly. And I needed a way, I needed to learn money in a whole different way. Even though I had worked on multi-million-dollar projects inside billion-dollar corporations, it didn't mean that I was doing certain things at home with my own checkbook. Anyway, bottom line is, Liz and I were like, okay, you ladies who need some help with money, we're here, come take our classes, we're ready. Well, people weren't signing up for that. So we were working within the community who helped us see how our messaging wasn't working. And once we got some insight from other people, it's working. So these communities are really valuable for testing messages and testing colors and testing ideas that you normally wouldn't have a chance to do. And we offer that for it's $2,000, takes a couple of months. You get to do all the class on your own. You can do it at night or on the weekends or on your coffee break, but then the community comes together once a week. And we talk for an hour to an hour and a half about what's going on in your world and what's going on in the rest of the community. So I'd really love for you guys to consider that. It's $19.97. We've got it on sale through Christmas for 25% off. Takes it down to about $1,500. And we can offer you payment plans and a money back guarantee. We also have a really great program. I think it's important for people to know that these kinds of programs are available. It's called Crack the Code to Your Wealth. And it's a program that's online at your own pace. You can access us through coaching through, an app. But right now, it's free for veterans. So if you know of someone who has served our country and they are interested in thinking about something new and different in their lives, we're offering that program to our veterans for free. They can just send us an email at shimula@gmail.com, and we're happy to provide them the code so they can get access to it for free. Anyway, tomorrow, so this is the end of today. Tomorrow, December 1st, we have Kate Luzio coming in from Luminary. Luminary is this really great women's networking organization, and she's going to be talking to us about more details about community and why she started Luminary and how women can get involved. And I am so excited to talk to her tomorrow. So be sure you join us tomorrow at 11 or watch the replay. And I hope you have a terrific day. See you tomorrow.